What's going on, guys? T2RX6 here, back for another third-party review, and today we're taking a look at the Newage Legendary Heroes 19 and 20. This is, I assume it's Hogan, probably named after Hulk Hogan, being kind of known for being a strong guy. So it's Brawn. And then we have Bonney, Bonney. I'm not really sure how you say the name, but I know that it is a alias for Billy the Kid. And this is Outback. And just a quick heads up to Newage, Australia is not the wild, wild west, but it is what it is, right? Anyway, history lessons aside, obviously, like I said, it is Brawn and Outback, and when I first got these guys, I'm like, whoa, they're kind of big. I thought these were supposed to be mini bots, and then I kind of, messed with them a little. I'm like, no, they're kind of smaller than I realized, and then I put them next to Bumblebee, and you're like, yeah, these are definitely mini bots, because these guys are pretty well smaller than Bumblebee in their alt modes, and that's pretty impressive. Now, they do come with some accessories. Each of them has a gas cap, each of them has a gun. Now, there's no, unfortunately, that I see, way to hide Brawn's gun in the car mode. I wish there was. I wish there was some way to clip it in here or peg it in there. But there's not. So what I just kind of result to doing is flipping one of his hands up and just kind of, I actually pull it out a little more than this, just so it kind of hangs on the back there, and then I feel like it just kind of looks like some kind of bar or something across the back, and tends not to distract me. They also come with some extra accessories, and these, as far as I can tell, are die cast. So you got a little drill, and Outback cannot use it because he's got a winch on there, but Brawn can by plugging it in and giving him his little drill from that one episode. They also got a spinning blade thing, or the pizza cutter as my good friend Deluxe called it in his video, and like a little, it's actually it's pretty funny. I think the intent behind it is that this is the G1 toy hand. Kind of wish there was two of them as a result. So being that these are legends, let's zoom out here. Let's get the obligatory Matchbox Grand National and the GoBot in for size scale. It's a pretty tiny guy. Let's throw Bumblebee in the mix too, just so we can see how they all scale. And one more size comparison here is the Ironhide mold, or Ratchet mold, whichever one you prefer to consider it. So you can see, pretty tiny overall. So I'm just going to transform one of them, and I'll do the other one off camera because they transform entirely the same way. There's nothing to surprise you. Yeah, so let's just focus on Brawn here. So we take off all his accessories, and notably the gas canister does become a very awkward looking gun. I don't think that it looks really good. I wish that, well, we'll get there in the robot mode, I guess. Coming to the actual robot himself, we unpeg the front parts of the car here, and we kind of unpeg the back. There is one of those angular pegs in here to kind of secure it all together, so just make sure you have it the right way. Also, flip the toe down while you can, because it does kind of get pinched in there when you're done. Flip this whole piece around like so, and flip the foot up on both sides like that. We can take the legs and work them out now on their ball joints like that, making sure that we have the front piece for the knee. And I'm going to be honest with you, when I first got these guys, my initial thoughts were, these are the weakest Newage toys that I have, and to some extent that may be true, but they've at least grown on me drastically. Anyway, flip that waist around, and you can see we have the legs here. The reason I said that this is probably the worst ones is that it all kind of has to deal with the way these arms peg into this piece. Getting them undone isn't too big of a deal. It does peg in very solidly, so it is useful to have like a spudger around just to kind of gently separate that tab in there, like so. But yeah, it's kind of, this piece here is really where the problem of this toy lies. Anyway, fold that up in there, which now we can get the cab out of the way, we can bring that forward. And from here, what you have to do is hinge this up, angle these pieces inwards like that. I say angle, but they just kind of rotate. So I bring this in position here, and I bring the head back at an angle here and bring this up to meet it. And then once that's in place, I finish collapsing this down because it locks this in place, and there's no real good way to separate this when this is all locked in place. So it's easier to do it when it's up like that. Finally, bring the arms here, around like so, flip out the fists. And the fists are definitely a point of contention for me, and I think I had his legs the wrong way when I actually had worked out his knees and stuff. So it should look like that. But the fists are definitely a point of contention for me because they're just on this little swivel and they just rotate in really easy, which makes when you kind of manipulate him, it's very easy to flip his wrists back in. There we go. We've got our little Brawn in his robot mode. So let me get Outback done and we'll revisit it. So here you've got Outback and Brawn in their robot modes, and just really the detail they've captured just looks fantastic. If you want to complain, I suppose the age-old complaint with the Legends for Newage is the abuse of ball joints. I really don't think that it's that big of a deal. Like, yes, it does break up the forearm a bit, but at this scale, it's something that I'm totally okay with. You do have a good articulation on the head, at least 360. No up and down. I mean, outside of just a wiggle on what I assume is probably just like a mushroom type swivel. Ball jointed shoulders, knees, everything you want there, even the ankle tilts. They just work. They're great. Like I said, the wrists are my point of contention because you can see even just kind of messing with it a little, it's gone down. It's not a big problem, but you know, when you're trying to get a weapon in, if you forget about the loose wrist, you might try to put the weapon in and it kind of goes down there. The accessories, like our hook hand, it just is done by way of folding the hand down and then plugging this into the hand to give the claw. You can see that I've already given Outback the pizza cutter. And then just to kind of show that the gun kind of looks ridiculous, here is the gas can as a gun. And well, you can see it's a little tough to get in his hand, but there he goes. He's holding it, and like it just, I guess it's more convincing when I'm looking at it close up, but I don't know. It doesn't sit well with me. So what I've kind of found that I do here to hide it, at least somewhat, is this peg is about the same size as this, so I usually just kind of plug this in and just fold the gun up like that, so it just kind of keeps it clipped in place. And it doesn't look great there, but it certainly looks better to me than when it's a gun, because it's a whole lot less noticeable when it's just kind of hanging on his leg. Ultimately, it's something that you probably end up putting in the box. I will say there's nothing wrong with Brawn, but I do kind of prefer Outback. I think he's just more interesting to look at given his colors and the extra details. And you can see he is actually remolded on the chest, and obviously the head to make quite a bit of difference, even though they're exactly the same toy. And when it comes to them being mini-bots, here's Bumblebee, who is a bigger car but still a smaller mini-bot, and like, you just can't complain about that scale, honestly. More size comparisons. There's Jazz, there's Ratchet. Like, Newage is shaping up to have just an amazing set of Autobots. So let's go ahead and get Outback back to his vehicle mode just so I can show you it's exactly the same. Again, I start by kind of pushing this stuff up to release all that. Front of the Jeep, all that is the same. So we'll bring that down and we'll bring this up. Bring this little panel like this, and then this is always the part that I tend to have the most trouble figuring out the way that it's going to work. And it is not a result of forgetting to do these, but today it was. So you take these, you fold them in, and like, you can make it work so well if you bend the arm up and peg it in place, but then you actually can't get this to fold down easily with the rest of it. So because you can't have those up, you have to kind of remember to make the ball joints face inwards like that, so you get that outward movement, and then that should fit around there. And then from here you kind of still have a little bit of leeway to rotate these pieces out of the way here and get them upwards like that. And then once they're like that, you can kind of push this down, which then sets these in the right position to give them a good squeeze. So I always feel like those ball joints should face upwards, but really the best way to do it is have them face inward, so they don't get stuck there and not able to rotate. That's the one piece of this transformation that just, it really is irritating, and yeah, it's the only thing I think could have been engineered better. It's probably why, you know, honestly, I'm a big fan of all this Newage stuff. One of their toys has to be like the weakest, and I do feel like these guys ultimately end up being that spot, but it's not because they're not fun toys, it's just because, you know, comparatively they're probably not engineered quite as well as the others. Anyway, as you saw, I kind of arranged it so the ball joints went in, fold that in, and then make sure your knee joint lets the knee go outwards, and then just arrange it so your toe is going to go to the back of the truck there. Once that's in place, you know, make sure your toe is flipped up and out of the way, otherwise it won't collapse in here. There is a tab right up here and then in the front to make sure that you get it locked in exactly the right place on both sides. Then just close the driver's side if you're an American, the passenger side elsewhere in the world, and then the other side first, or second I should say. Plug in your gun, plug in your gas can, which does have the muzzle of the gun kind of serves to be that like fuel canister cap at the top, so you know you have it the right way. If you go the other way, it does hang under the wheels, so you'll figure it out one way or another. Anyway, like I said, they are fantastic. They're a lot of fun to mess with. The more I mess with them, the more I enjoy them, and the more that initial impression of the tough transformation that I didn't enjoy and the weak wrists, like that all kind of fades away. Like don't get me wrong, there's still a slight issue, but in the end they are really fun, and if you're in on the Newage, I think they delivered a fantastic Brawn And Outback. Yeah, so this is T2RX6. I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and I'll see you next time.